guys, we got a special episode for you guys today. We are going to go and help resurrect a 1995 Mitsubishi Eclipse GST Turbo. And this car belongs to a guy who it's been sitting in his driveway, I believe, for something like 5 years. Engine runs, but the brakes are kind of frozen up and doesn't really feel comfortable driving it. So we're going to go out there and help him to resurrect this car for whatever reason he is inspired to do so. The thing that makes this kind of special for me is this guy is a Vietnam War veteran, and I think most of you know I have a special respect and allegiance for military personnel, especially in times like these where it seems like we are more likely to have people sympathize with criminals than with victims. And the fact of the matter is, all innocent lives matter, and nobody protects innocent lives more than military and police, maybe with a couple of notable, very rare exceptions. But the very fact that a lot of the idiots and morons out there destroying statues, and how cowardly do you have to be to attack a statue, by the way, all of that coming under their argument of free speech ultimately comes down to the fact that our military is what protects our free speech, which really is just our ability to speak freely on our opinions about government and things that we don't agree with leadership without being beheaded. That's basically the principle behind it. And when you have idiots that protest against military, they're too stupid to realize that the fact that they can do that without repercussion, as long as they're peacefully protesting, comes from the fact that men and women died to give them that right. And that's the reason why I have so much respect for these guys. So I'm going to go ahead and pack up a bunch of tools here. I really don't know what we're going to expect. I know he wants brakes all the way around the vehicle, rotors and pads all the way around. He was pretty adamant about that. And also he thought it'd be really cool to see his car on the channel. So we're going to give that to him. He deserves it. He's a military veteran, and we should show him that respect. So it's also, by the way, 95 degrees today. There are 5 major wildfires in the immediate area. So the air is, it's worse than I've ever seen it before. The smoke is off the chain. You can actually feel it in your eyes and your lungs when you breathe. But you know what? We're going to go out there and we're going to brave that, because 3 or 4 hours of working in those conditions on this car, hell, I'll take that with a stick over being out in a battlefield in Vietnam any day, I will tell you that. So just happy to help this guy out and make some of his wishes come true. So let's see what we can do. All right, I'm expecting a bunch of frozen bolts and things like that, so I'm going to bring a bunch of heavy-duty kind of stuff and probably some bolt outs and things like that. Don't anticipate that these bolts are going to come out very easy. By the way, props to O'Reilly Auto Parts. I've not made mention before, but that is my primary source for whenever I have to buy parts, which, as you know, is pretty rare on this channel. And O'Reilly Auto Parts offers a military discount. You show your military card and they will give you a discount on your parts at O'Reilly. So you guys out there in the military, if you weren't aware of that, make sure that you patronize O'Reilly Auto Parts. They will treat you right with that discount. I think we're all packed up, and hopefully I got everything I need, so let's go. Hey guys, I am here with my friend Rich. Hey Rich, first and foremost, thank you for your service.
You're very welcome.
I am very grateful for it, and I know you're grateful for what we're going to do here. So a couple things we need from you, Rich. First of all, let's get a little background on you and your military service, just a little bit, and then also a little bit of history on what we're going to do today with this car.
Well, to start off with, I'm an old Marine. I served in Vietnam in 1968 through 1970. I proudly served. I carry a Purple Heart, a few other things. It was a grand time to serve our country, and I'm very proud to be a military veteran.
Thank you.
This car was one of the things that kind of came to me by accident, and this is where we're at right now. This car has been sitting in my driveway since about 2015 without really any miles at all. I parked it, and it had some issues with the brakes, it had some issues with the power steering, and we're going to correct all that within the next couple days.
I think we're going to do it in the next couple hours. I hope. We'll see. I might regret saying that because with a car that's been sitting around a long time like that, frozen fasteners, things like that can be an issue. And also, it doesn't look like there's any evidence of it, but one of the things I often find when a car is sitting a long time is rodent damage. I'm hoping we won't find anything like that.
We got wasps.
You got wasps?
Yeah, we got wasps.
That's worse. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to get stung by a wasp. All right. Well, I think what we're going to start with is, at your request, I did get some rotors and pads, and we'll start off with the brakes and everything. You want to go ahead and just start the car up, and let's just take a listen to it, and see if there's anything else obvious. Look for anything like misfire or whatever. So let's take a look here. Oh, it sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Let's see, you had mentioned that it makes some kind of noise with the power steering. You want to go ahead and turn the wheels left and right? Oh, yeah, it squeals pretty bad. Hang on one second here. Just want to look and see. We're going to check power steering fluid level here. All right, we can see that there's plenty of fluid. It's clear. So that's going to be some kind of a belt tensioning issue or a mechanical problem with the pump. Hopefully it's just belt tension, so we'll check that out. How's the air conditioning work? All right, is AC blowing cold for you?
Yeah.
It is? Okay, good. One less thing we got to worry about. Can you go ahead and bring the RPMs up to, say, 2200? Sounds great. Sounds great. Okay, go ahead and let off on it. Should point out, by the way, guys, I did check fluids like coolant and oil and everything before we started here. I know he's been running the engine every once in a while anyway, but looks like hopefully we got to do a lot less than I thought we would. So go ahead and turn it off. And I think we're just going to go ahead and start with doing the brakes. 134,000 miles on a 95. That is pretty good. I will say this car is a little bit hard to get parts for. My friends at O'Reilly's had do me another favor, as they often do. The guys at the O'Reilly's I go to bring me business a lot, and they had to special order the rotors and pads for this because they don't keep them in stock. I think this car is maybe a little unusual. All right, let's get started. All right, Rich, so how much do you want to help or not help? I'm doing this for you. We're by the way, guys, we're doing this only at cost parts. As you know, I do a lot of charity on this channel, but this is not charity. Rich would not accept that. This is appreciation. There is a big difference between appreciation and charity. And we're doing this just because we appreciate the fact that Rich gave some sacrifice for all of us to be able to watch this video. How much do you want to help out? What do you want to do?
100%.
You want to help out 100%?
Yeah.
Not surprised. All right. Well, how about we grab that racing jack I brought over and let's get this car in the air. Rich, what do you got there?
I got a racing jacket.
Okay, I said racing jack.
Yeah, I thought you said jacket. Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, we gotta go to the jacket.
Okay, you can wear that if you want, but it's like 98 degrees right now.
And this is like 20 pounds worth of padding.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's Division I Marine Corps. That's what we're all about.
All right, let's bring that jack around here.
There's a difference, right?
Let's grab one of those stands here. All right, we got all four wheels up off the ground, make this easier. Rich, have you done brakes before and stuff?
On Hondas many years ago. Never on this car.
Never on this car. Okay, I think we're going to be able to figure it out. I've never done one on this car either. Let's start by taking off this front left wheel here. So I got a special toy for you. Hang on. This is my version of the M16.
Oh, there we go. Fully loaded.
I am fully loaded, locked and loaded, ready to go. Going to hand that over to you.
All right.
All right, watch where you aim that thing. Let's
right.
go over to the tire. And yeah, we're just going to start up front, just for no reason in particular. And that should hopefully... Hey, it works. All right.
Look at that.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Dave? Man, dude, you're hurting my back just watching you. You want, you want something to kneel down on, or?
No.
All right. Hey, the wheel came off. That's a good sign. That is a good sign. I thought we were going to be working on kicking that thing.
But look at that rotor.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point, Rich. Let me show here why we're not messing with this. The rotor is just completely rusted. Oh, you know what? It's really thin, too. I did bring some calipers to measure this, but it doesn't matter. But there is a significant lip on here. You can also feel there's a lot of grooves and everything. So there's no way we would be able to. Some of you guys are wondering, why not resurface the rotors? And the reason is because, first of all, there's not enough material. We could resurface it. Second of all, we're just not going to mess with it, right? All the parts that this car needs to get roadworthy are under $200. So it's just not worth messing with this. So what we need to do now is get the brake caliper off. So let me get some tools. You want to go ahead and take a crack at getting that caliper off? So we got 2 bolts. We got one you can easily see right here. So we're going to take that bolt off, and then there's one underneath. You sure you don't need something to kneel down on, or?
I'm an old man. I can do this.
All righty. Yeah, and give it a good pull. This is kind of where I'm thinking we're going to run into some limitations here.
Nope.
All right, that's all right. So let's. Yep. So one trick that I'll do for this when it's frozen on like that is get a little bit more distance up here, and you can smack it with your hand really sharply. There it goes, like that. That'll help break it free when you have that happen. So go ahead and loosen that up just until you only got like 1 or 2 threads left. That way it'll hold in place while we mess with that bottom one, and it won't fall on your face or something. It'll help with that. That's all right. That's all right. These are tough, man. These are tough. These take it out of me, too. There it is. Okay. That one was stubborn. Not as stubborn as you, but it was pretty stubborn. Yeah. All right, good job. We actually are kind of in luck because one of the things that very often happens is you'll notice these are called floating caliper pins, and the brake calipers float on these pins. Very often when you get a car that's been sitting around for a long time, these pins will freeze in the calipers, and sometimes you honestly cannot get them out, which means we would have to buy new calipers, which we may still have to, and I'll show you in a little bit, so we're not out of the woods yet. But the fact that we can get these pins to come out is a really good sign.
So we only have 2 pins per brake?
Only 2 pins per brake, that's correct. It looks like this one's going to come right out too. Oh, that's good. That's good news. So I was kind of anticipating we're probably going to have to replace these calipers, but I don't think so now. Then we're just going to take this off. And so right here is your piston for the caliper. So when you hit the brakes, this piston moves forward and squeezes the brake pads around your rotor here. One thing that is kind of likely to happen is that this is frozen in position. So we're going to check that very easily here with a special tool. Hang on. So this tool, we're going to fit it right in between the caliper and the brake pad surface. And if we look, we can see the calipers moving backwards. See, it's moved backwards. So that means your caliper is not frozen. Okay. So we are in really, really good shape there. That's awesome. So one of the things we're going to want to do now is we want to get to the engine here, if you don't mind, and find the brake fluid reservoir. We just want to loosen that up. The reason being because now that we're pushing those calipers in, we're going to push that brake fluid level back up, and we don't want it to compress against the cap. So go ahead and loosen that up. There we go. See how high our brake fluid level is? Yeah. So you can imagine when on all 4 of these wheels we push those calipers in, that would spill over and just make a mess. All right, so you got some ties there. When you said tie, I thought maybe like a necktie for your jacket.
It was.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a tie, and we're just going to put her up here. Those little that rubber brake line is not enough to support the weight of this caliper.
That is correct. That is correct.
So we'll take it and put it up here and put a tie on it and keep the weight off it, making it much more easy to work with later.
Let's get a look at this brake fluid. I want to show you guys because I'm looking at this fluid and I'm seeing a lot of evidence of moisture contamination.
There is?
Yeah. So not sure if you guys can see this. The fluid is a fairly clear, so it doesn't have a lot of particulate matter or contaminants, but it's got a very, very, very brown appearance to it. It looks very much like warm maple syrup is exactly what it looks like, which is indicating that there's probably some moisture contamination in there. So I'm thinking we're going to bleed this brake system when we're done and get fresh brake fluid in there. Water is very compressible, so you don't get nearly the brake performance when you squeeze the brakes with water in the system than when you just have brake fluid, which is not compressible. So for safety reasons, we're going to replace that. Right now, you can just slide those brake pads out.
Really?
Yep, the brake pads will just slide right out. There you go. And let's keep track of which one was in front, which one is back. Usually in the back.
Front, back.
That's perfect. Usually in the back there is a wear indicator. We can see these pads have seen better days before. They're pretty scored. There's a lot of pad material, so that's good. But the problem is that having been used on these rusty rotors, there's lots of grooves. A flat, smooth pad has more surface area, so it's going to break better. Oh, that looks bad. This is the back pad, and you can see, even though we've got a lot of material, the effect of having worn rotors eats up your pad material. So we're going to put the back one back here, front one here, so we can keep them separate. Now we want to replace the rotors. Now comes a part that this may do us in. This may do us in. We're going to have to get our wrench and probably a breaker bar. We have to remove this. And the other thing is that probably this rotor, I imagine, is really rusted onto the hub. We'll deal with that when we get there, but we need to get this part off. So if you look behind it, you can probably see a couple of bolts.
Two.
Yep, they're big. They're probably like 18 mils.
Yeah, they're at least too big.
Yeah, so why don't you see if you can find something that'll match those up. And this may be a difficult part of this job, for sure. You got a match on the 18? All righty. Let's see what we can do here, just in case I'm going to go get my breaker bar. Yeah, I don't think that's, I'm not, you know what, I'm not even going to bother with that. I don't think I'm going to get it either. So what we're going to do is let's get a breaker bar. What would the equivalent of this be? A mortar?
It's like a 60 millimeter.
60 millimeter, all right, well. And let's see if we can get enough angle on this. There it goes. Got to have the right tools. That's
right. Exactly.
That is important. You should be able to get that off now, actually. You know what? Before you do that, let me break the other one loose, too. We're doing better than expected here. This could have been a lot more miserable. So, Rich, I wanted to tell the viewers, too, you've expressed nothing but gratitude for getting some help with this project here. And one of the things that's kind of well known is that there wasn't a whole lot of gratitude for when you guys came back home, was there?
No, it was pretty... Again, we're coming home in 1970. There was a lot of anti-military. I came home in San Diego, and they had balloons filled with urine. They,
oh, wow.
They made sure that we all got baptized with that. It was
Wow.
a difficult time. I mean, I went through a different era. Martin Luther King was killed when I was in Vietnam. That was a very troubling time in the United States for a lot of folks. Black, white, Chicano, whatever. And you know what? We all came together. We understood what the issues were, but there's more important things for us to take care of. And that was coming home to our families. Families that meant everything in the world. So these things with Kennedy being killed, Martin Luther King being assassinated, were all issues of the time, but we found a way to find the right things to do to make us as family, because that's what Marines are. We're family, come together.
I'm younger than you, obviously, but you know, during the whole 70s protest thing and all that, I was just, you know, 1 and 2 years old at that time. But I sometimes wonder how things right now today measure up against what was going on at that time. Certainly, it seems like there was a lot more support for law and order, and people seem to know the difference between a riot and a protest better, it seemed to me.
I think it was, because even then, one of the biggest events in modern history was Woodstock.
Yeah.
And how many thousands of people got together without any issues other than just music choices? It was just fantastic. I missed that whole thing because I was doing my thing.
Yep.
It was just a great time to be alive.
Yeah, wish I was there. Wish I was there. Definitely one of the most interesting time eras in history, I think. But again, we were talking about sacrifice, guys, and you know, you got all those people enjoying some of those things that you think of in the 60s and 70s, but our guy was there. You know, you got some eyesight damage, I believe, to get the Purple Heart, something that you have to live the rest of your life with, and you know, probably not as good of memories as somebody who was at Woodstock, I bet, huh?
But you know what? It's all the same. We did the right things at the right time.
All right.
That's what it's all about.
All right. It looks like, speaking of doing the right things, you got that caliper bracket off.
I did.
All right. Well, we got one thing left to do, and this is the one that I am the most concerned about. We got to get that rotor off. So let's take a look here before we just jump into this. And one of the things I'm going to look for, sometimes as part of the assembly process, there will be screws in here that hold the rotor in place onto the hub. We don't have screws in there, but what we do have, this is going to be unfortunate, we've got 2 holes here. I don't know if you guys can see those. What those holes are for, those holes are threaded. And you can feed a 10 millimeter bolt is usually what it is. One 10 millimeter bolt here, one here, tighten them up alternately, and eventually that'll pull that rotor off the hub. That's what those holes are for there.
Wow.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
All right, well there you go. Only one problem. I didn't think of that. So I'm going to have to see what we can do for some 10 millimeter holes. Now, there is one other thing too, and that is because we're trashing these rotors, we may be able to just knock these loose with what would this be?
A small hammer.
A small hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You want to try giving that a whack there? So we're just going to give it a whack right here because we don't want to hit the shield. But just right here, and we're not worried about damaging this rotor. Let's just see if we can break that loose. Is that going anywhere?
No.
Yeah, probably not.
No.
All right, let me give it a try, and then we may be making a trip to the hardware store for this. There it is, right there.
It is.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it. Look at this. It's gonna come off.
It's not the size of your hammer, it's the way you use it. There we go. Hey, that wasn't really that bad. All right.
Oh.
Yeah, look at all that rust. Huh? Look at all that. Well, there's probably some spiders in there.
There's hornets.
Probably.
That came off really nice.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad.
Look at the rust.
That's a lot of rust. So here's what we're going to do. One of the things is that because there was so much rust and the way it flaked off, one of the things I'm worried about is when we put that new rotor on, what if there's some rust here, but not so much here, and the rotor sits kind of cockeyed a little bit, right? We want it flush against there. So we need some kind of like a wire brush or sandpaper. Do you think you have something like that?
I could find something.
Yeah, we're going to find something. And what we're going to do is we just want to sand this hub off so that when we put the new rotor on, we know that it's flush and flat and there aren't flakes of rust that are causing it to not be completely vertical and level. So we're going to find something like that and we'll be back. So while Rich is trying to find something to clean that hub with, I found this in the back of his garage and we can see the Marine Corps emblem there. I don't know anything about motorcycles, but that is pretty cool. All right, buddy. Looks like we got this all scraped up. So what we're going to do is, this is the plan, we're going to put your new parts on that we got. And basically the thing, Rich, is that when you do one of these wheels on a car like this, you can do them all, because the rear are also disc brakes. It's exactly the same. The parts are just a little smaller is all. So we're going to go ahead and put this one together, and then we're going to fast forward and we're going to do all the other ones off camera and get us caught up so that we can bleed the system. So that's the plan. How's that sound?
Great.
All righty, let's do it. So Rich is getting those parts. Rich, you were just mentioning something about how you were expecting them to be different sizes, or what was that?
My idea was, because front brakes usually bear the weight of us going downhill, I always figured the front brakes or discs would always be larger than the back.
They are. They are. We're going to find that. You're exactly right. And it's also, whenever you brake, all the weight of the car moves to the front.
Exactly.
So even if you're not going downhill, and you're exactly right. So we're going to see a difference in the size of these rotors, I do believe. And certainly in the pads. I know that for a fact. So let's see what we got here. Got our old rotor, and we want to make sure we match up the new one. I should have caught that knife quick release on camera. That was pretty badass.
You like that? Okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
We got it. We got you covered, baby.
Those look a lot different. Let's compare that to the other one. Yeah, how about that?
Oh, look at that.
Is it just me, or is that bigger? No,
That's bigger.
Yeah, it is bigger.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a little worried about that, because it can't be bigger than this, because that's our front rotor.
That is?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
That's a lot bigger. And that's not going to work. That is not going to work, because that's going to be even bigger than your wheel diameter on the inside. We got the wrong rotor parts, buddy.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, let's go ahead and look at that, and maybe they gave us the wrong front rotors here, and these will be the correct ones. Let's go ahead and open that up. But yeah, you know what? I honestly got to tell you, when that happens, my friends at O'Reilly take really good care of me on this. They make it as convenient as possible for me on the rare times that this happens. But we did get the wrong rotors. Those are not going to fit. Let me, the holes in the wheel don't even match up. So I'll have to do something about that. I'm going to give them a call. We can't use these rotors, front or back. We cannot use these. We got the right pads, so that's good, but they gave us the wrong rotors. So I'll tell you what, let me make a call, and let's see what we can do to get this fixed, if we can get this done today.
Okay.
Alrighty. All right, so here's where we're at. I just got off the phone with my friend Gene from O'Reilly Auto Parts right in Littleton, Colorado, not too far from where I live. Work with him a lot. And Gene acknowledged that they made a mistake. So what happened is, apparently, according to Gene, who has been a mechanic for probably like 50 years, so he's very knowledgeable, in November or December of 1994, there was a change made in the size of the rotors that apparently their system doesn't have worked out. So they actually have 4 different styles of rotors for this car, right? So what Gene is doing, and I told you guys this before I called, that these guys take care of me. Here's what they're doing. They are, at their expense, ordering all 4 versions of the rotor to make absolutely sure one of them is what we need, all right? Yeah. And all we need to do is bring in one of these front rotors, we got to bring in one of the rear rotors, and we'll take the ones that match up. But he acknowledged that they have an error in their system, that they weren't updated on that change that happened, and that's why we got the wrong rotors. So that's what our plan is. So yep. So we're gonna get that rotor off of the rear, and we will finish this video. Hopefully, well, you got to work tomorrow, right? You work at Amazon.
I still work.
Yeah. So yeah, talk about not having a sense of entitlement, right? Well, I'm really glad that very last part still got salvaged here, because at that exact moment right there, my camera battery actually went dead. I didn't realize I was filming that long. I was having so much fun, but we got everything in there that you needed to see for where we're at. I recognize fully this is not the typical video on this channel with doing kind of more basic stuff like brakes, and we usually do the check engine lights, and was kind of thinking maybe we were going to be fixing electrical damage from rodents and something more complicated, but it's good to get back to the basics, and more importantly, you know, just kind of show that still sticking with your basics is sometimes the most helpful thing you can do for somebody, and that was the case here. So not sure what our plan is going forward on this series, but what we're going to do is he's got to get back to work. Rich works in the warehouse at Amazon, and you know, without him in the video, quite honestly, I'm really not interested in finishing this. But I don't want him to have to wait until Thursday when his next day off is. So I think what I'm going to do is just finish this project on my own. We'll kind of leave it at this unless I find something pretty spectacular. But until then, one thing I would ask of you guys is leave some comments showing your appreciation for Rich's service. I think that would be awesome to do. And, you know, again, this video I just want to dedicate not just to Rich, but to all of our first responders, to all of our military personnel, to all the people on the front lines fighting COVID. And you guys, I just think that you deserve the recognition for your sacrifices and for the risks that you take to keep all of us safe, and especially innocent lives, people who are law-abiding citizens that depend on these guys to keep that law and order for our way of life. So all innocent lives matter, whether that's a black small business owner whose entire life's work was destroyed in seconds by rioters, whether it's a peaceful, non-radical Muslim whose mosque was destroyed in a hate crime, or even, you know what, even a Norwegian immigrant whose business gets threatened because stupid, moronic idiots don't even know the difference between the Norwegian flag and a Confederate flag, and they protest outside their business. Boy, some country, isn't it? But it's guys like Rich, it's police officers, it's National Guard. It's all of these people that help keep those people whose lives are the ones that matter, the innocent, law-abiding lives that matter, no matter your race, no matter your religion, no matter your political affiliation. Those are lives that matter. And it's heroes like Rich that keep those people safe and preserve that way of life so they can thrive. And if they take personal responsibility and they try hard, they do the best they can to further their education, and they have ambition and discipline, they're going to succeed no matter who you are in this country, and that is a proven fact. So, Rich, thank you very much for participating in this video. It was his first time ever in front of camera. He was nervous as hell. I think he did a fantastic job. Please let him know you appreciate that. All right, guys, I hope you found this entertaining and helpful, and we will see you next time. Take care.